Hello, welcome to class. This is taxation, and in this course, we'll be going through 10 modules. That means we will have to um, pass through 10 topics, 10 different topics on we gaining understanding about taxation. And today we'll be talking about an introduction to the nature and scope of taxation. Introduction to the nature and scope of taxation. And in doing that, we'll look at the meaning, objective, and significance of taxation, historical evolution of taxation in Nigeria. We also look at the canons or the principles of taxation. We look at the roles of taxation in national development and the relationship that exists between taxation and fiscal policy. By introduction, what is actually taxation? What is actually taxation? It's actually a compulsory contribution imposed by a government on individuals and entities within its jurisdiction to raise revenue for public expenditure. It is a compulsory contribution or levy that is imposed by the government on individuals or entity or corporate organizations within the jurisdiction to raise revenue for public expenditure. And according to Adam Smith, it's actually a contribution which independent of the rendering of any specific service in return. And the key features of taxations are one, in the definition we said it's a compulsory levy, and that's the first one. It's a compulsory one. It's not voluntary. It is enforceable by law. The second is that it has a legal backing. That is, it must be authorized by statutes. It is authorized by statutes, and we have the likes of the the Personal Income Tax Act, the Corporate or Company Income Tax Act, and we have the Value Added Tax Act as we'll be looking at it. Also, it has no direct quid pro quo, which is benefits are collective, and it comes in terms of road, security, education, and it's not actually for an individual. And the last we'll be looking at is a public welfare purpose. And taxation is actually a fund that is used for development. It is used to fund development, infrastructures, and social services. What are the objectives of taxation? It serves multiple purposes, especially economic and social goals, and these include for revenue generation, and the primary objective of taxation is to fund government expenditure. Another is to ensure a redistribution of income. That is, progressive taxation reduces inequality as such, and also it serves the objective of ensuring economic stability, as it is a tool for fiscal policy to control inflation and unemployment. Also, it serves the purpose of resource allocation in terms of tax incentive, can guide investments to priority sector. And lastly, it serves as a means of correction of market failures. It deals with taxes on negative externalities like pollution, tobacco, and the likes. We have the evolution of taxation in Nigeria. And when we talk about the evolution of taxation in Nigeria, it starts from the pre-colonial era, which is before 1861, and this is characterized by informal community-based system, and it's known for tributes, labor, and religious levies are common means of taxation as such, and this, like in North, zakat, for the Hobas, they receive tributes. And the next era is the colonial era, which is from 1861 to 1960. And for this, we talk about institutionalization of taxation by the British. And we have the 1904, which is from Native Revenue Proclamation by Lord Lugard in the north. At 1914 amalgamation, the system extended to the south rather. In 1929, the Herbal Women's riots against direct taxation occurred, and in 1943, there was an introduction of formal income tax ordinance. We also have the post-colonial era, and this is from 1960 to 1990. And at this stage or era, there is a nationalization of tax law like Company Income Tax Act in 1961. We also have the PPT Act, and also the establishment of Federal Board of Inland Revenue and State Board of Internal Revenue came up. And we also have the modern era, which is from 1990 till present. And from 1993 rather, introduction of value-added tax came up, and in 2007, the FIRS, the Establishment Act for Autonomy and Efficiency came up. We also have the Finance Act between 2019 to 2023, which is an ongoing reform, and we also have the digitalization that comes up in this era. We have the canon or principle of taxation as formulated or founded by Adam Smith. And for this it's a guiding principle for a fair and efficient tax system. And it includes equity. And when we talk about equity, it deals with fairness based on ability to pay. And it can be divided or categorized into horizontal equity and vertical equity. And when we talk about horizontal, it's equal income or tax. Equal income is equal to equal tax, and vertical equity is higher income is equal to higher tax. We also have that of certainty, which deals with tax liability should be clear and arbitrary. Convenience, which deals with time and manner of payment, should suit the taxpayer. And for economy, the principle talks about cost of collection should be minimal. It should be minimal relative to the revenue. We also have that of productivity principle, which talks about a good tax system must yield sufficient revenue for government needs. Also, we have the elasticity principle, which talks about a good tax system should adjust easily to changing economic condition. There is also the simplicity principle or canon, which talks about laws should be clear and easy to understand, administer under a good system. We also have the diversity, which talks about revenue should come from multiple sources to minimize risks. And lastly, neutrality principle. And this talks about the fact that it should not distort economic decision making. We have the role of taxation in national development, and the first is to finance public goods like infrastructures. Another one is to reduce inequality, as we talked about progressive tax system, whereby it ensures that the social welfare are being funded to promote equity. Also, another role is to stimulate economic growth. It also promotes good governance, and lastly, to ensure that there is a regulation of the economy. Also, looking at taxation and fiscal policy, the relationship between them. When we talk about fiscal policy, the government or it's actually the use of government spendings and taxation to influence the economy, and bringing it together with taxation. Taxation fund fiscal policy. That is, it provides the revenue for government spendings, and when we talk about fiscal policy, it actually guides taxation, and it actually determines tax rates and structures to achieve economic goal. And in conclusion, taxation is a compulsory, non-retributive levy for public welfare, and its objective extend far beyond revenue generation to include redistribution and economic regulation. The Nigerian tax system has evolved from pre-colonial tributes that are being given to the Hobas and the Zakat in the north, to a modern codified regime, and the canon of taxation provides the blueprint for a fair, efficient, and effective system. So taxation is inseparable from fiscal policy, and it is crucial for sustainable national development. Thank you.